So, ladies and gentlemen, as we approach the end of this phase, and I've given you all of the frameworks, the scripts, both the nitty-gritty of like what to say, but then also a deep-rooted understanding of why we're even saying it. As we're coming to the end of this, and as we're about to get into some vault footage, so you can see real life this stuff in practice. In today's module, I want to finish off by how do we take these reference experiences that we're collecting? How do we take all of these prospects that we're speaking to, these experiences, as I said, that we're literally bundling and collecting, and how do we use those so each one builds on top of each other and you just get better and better and better? So with no further ado, let's get straight into today's module. So, ladies and gentlemen, in today's module, we're going to be talking about refining approach and sharpening the saw. In today's teaching, we're going to go over how the greats get even better, why you need to study your tapes, how we record calls with compliance, using roleplay partners to get field time, going to sales battle with yourself every day, and becoming a sales master. So, how the greats get even better. It is just as important what you do off of the field of play as is what you do on it, right? And the best teams on earth, they watch tapes again and again and again and again. You know, they're in the cinema room literally for more time than they are on the actual field playing the game, right? In a competitive environment. And the reason that is because in professional games, there's only a certain amount of games you can play. In, our world, there's only amount of sales meetings that you can have per month. And even if you're, a 7-figure year agency, right? Let's look at my agency. I'm a 7-figure year agency, actually, in fact, now coming on multi-7-figure year agency, and I take 8 to 10 sales calls per month. Now, granted, yes, we have, 40, 50 applications, and then we cut that down to like 30, 20, 25, 30 demo calls. And yes, Danny takes those calls. I understand that, right? But let's say even if I didn't have Danny, I still think I'd only be taking probably one sales call per day, right? And that's what, 1 hour per day out of an 8-hour workday. That leaves a lot of time for me to refine my skills and increase my conversion rate. But that's me right now at my stage after 5 years of running that fucking thing. At your stage, and as I said, honestly, especially until really the past 2 years, I only had anywhere from 3, 4, 5 meetings per month. And as I said, that's not like the situation where I have now, where it's, the meetings that I have are literally like ready to pay. It's more just a matter of me structuring the deal correctly and making sure that it is indeed the right fit after Danny has kind of used his best judgment. Because here's the thing, a lot of us have blind spots, crutches, just general issues holding us back from signing high ticket clients. And when you're in the moment, it's hard to realize it. That's why you need to look back. And in the same way, I said, in professional sports, when you're in the realm of combat, when you're in the realm of play, like it's hard to really have a bird's eye view and see where your blind spots are, right? That's why the best of the best keep watching their tapes back again and again and again. So you need to address these blind spots. And the only real way that you can do that is by watching over your calls. Now in phase 2, I literally went over a study that proved by just replaying things in your mind and visualizing, you can get better. So between watching back over your tapes and everything else I'm going to be sharing with you guys in this module, you'll be replaying an image again and again and again, and this will literally double your results. Now, as you go through this process, you will refine your style. Put aside framework and put aside like the words I'm actually saying, my tonality, my cadence, and just the way that I like to do sales 3 years ago is vastly different. Even 2 years ago is like literally, you wouldn't recognize it from the way that I am these days. And this is why, as I said, sales experts in the realm of service-based businesses frustrates me, right? Because we have to do things very, very differently, okay? And this is why I've spent this entire phase giving you overall frameworks rather than, word by word scripts. And you really want to refine this script as much as possible because, as I said, it needs to really slot into the way that you speak, right? The way that you express yourself. There's no point trying to sell like me because I said, we all have our own strengths, our own weaknesses, and we all like a client will feel when the words you're saying even are congruent to you, or whether you're saying a word. And I'm sure you've seen this before. Like, when someone says a word and it just like, it feels off. Like it feels like it's like they specifically want to say that word, right? Not like it was already within their lexicon and it just, it's just free flowing, right? It just feels like, I don't know. It just, as I said, when someone says a word or a phrase and you're just like, something feels off of that, right? And the reason that is because they're not being congruent, okay? And this sense of congruency is something that will build up over time and also will only be there if you sell in your own style. And in different niches, there are certain buttons that you can push with certain business owners. As I said, as long as you do it with some elegance and grace, and it doesn't look like you're using slimy sales tactics. And there's certain, even, I hate this word, but like buzzwords, right? There's certain things that push the business owner over the line in terms of their decision. And as you start to get more reference experiences with your niche, you're going to be able to sort of weave in these pain points more seamlessly. And as I said, so it looks more natural. And really the goal here is as you develop over time, the biggest key is it should look like you're not even selling. The best salespeople on earth, the best marketers on earth, they do it in a way that it doesn't even look like they're selling. It looks like they're genuinely just having a conversation or telling a story. And that's really what makes a powerful salesperson a powerful marketer. Now, the way that you record calls is very, very simple. Directly on Zoom, there is an option to either record to the cloud, which you can download later and view later, or directly onto your computer. I always record directly onto my computer. Now, there is I think it's actually in the past few months, there is a recent Zoom update where when you're recording the call on their side, and I think before it showed recording either way, right? On their side, like they were aware that you were recording, but now it's like this very sort of brash, like American woman, like this meeting is being recorded, and then they have to accept it, right? And that's fine, right? A lot of clients will, first of all, not even say anything. And if they do, and they're asking, why does this get recorded? You just go, hey, every single call gets recorded because after the call, I'm going to send this video directly to you in case a business owner needs to be involved with the decision or you just want to watch back over it. So after our call is done, you can expect to receive that in your inbox. So first of all, you do that. And I don't actually send the Zoom recordings unless they specifically ask for it, right? Now, as long as you frame it in their benefit, they really don't mind. I've never had an experience where someone's been like, no, you can't record. And by the way, if someone said that to me, I would just go, okay, that's totally fine. No issues. But I can tell you there's probably been, dozens and dozens, honestly, there have been dozens of examples where there generally was someone else who needed to be involved in the decision. And if I hadn't recorded that call, they would have had to try to explain what happened in the call to their business partner or their spouse or this or that. So that's why me sending the call directly to them is very, very powerful and has been very useful for all of these prospects that I've spoken to. So as I said, when I finish recording the call, I always upload them in Google Drive. I have a specific folder with all my sales calls because then it also kind of populates almost like a YouTube video and I can watch in 2x speed, 1x speed, and it's nicer to have it there. And then for me, as I said, I just have an index in case anything ever happens to my computer, this, that, it's all up there on the cloud. And I can look back over years and years of sales footage, right? I wasn't really able to do this much in 2017, but ever since moving remote in mid 2018 and making the decision to do that fully, or actually it was pretty much right at the beginning of Q2. So pretty much, April of 2018. Ever since then, I can literally look back at like 3-4 years of sales calls. It's nuts. Now, the next thing is using your allies. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have studied thousands of students that have come through the last program, Agency Incubator, to find some commonalities, right? And all of the students who got to 6 figures in record time, they all had a common trait. And that was, first of all, they were super engaged in the community. They tried to find any sort of tidbit of information they could, and they used the community to their best of their ability. And they had, number one, an accountability partner and a role play partner. So the accountability partner does obviously just that, keeps you accountable. But the role play partner is someone where you can get into a sales meeting environment and you can tell the other person you're speaking to, hey, I want you to go a little harder on me today, or today I want you to be a little bit more lenient, because I've just started, I just started my agency 2 weeks ago. So, just take it a little easy. Don't interrupt me too much, or maybe, don't throw as many curveballs as, you normally would. Or you may be a little bit more advanced. You go, hey, I want you to go hard on the objections, right? And by the way, as I said, this is stuff that most of the time you're not really going to get from clients, but it's better to be well prepared. So all you have to do is go into our community section in the portal and literally just ask, right? Just say, hey, this is my time zone. This is my experience. Does anyone want to do a role play for a sales meeting environment? You guys can arrange a time and you can hop on Zoom and you can take turns of, who's the agency and who's the potential client. And as I said, just communicate. And maybe there's certain parts of your sales process, maybe you're very good at the emotional buy-in phase, right? Like you can really get that out of a prospect, but you're still having a tough time explaining the logic phase and explaining, how it is that you're going to get results, et cetera, et cetera. So whatever your weakness is, that is obviously what you want to be focusing on. Now, really when it comes to sharpening the saw, and really the last thing I want to leave you with is we learn and gain confidence from reference experiences, right? I want you to study your script. I want you to mold your script. I want your script to almost be an extension of your hand or your mind or really just your psyche at this point, okay? But then you need to go out there and you need to practically apply it. And obviously that's what, real world sales calls will do for you. And as I said, especially for those of you guys that are using a 2-call close method, that demo call really, it's such a non-invasive, and it really just kind of puts you at ease knowing that, hey, I'm not even going to make an offer on this call, right? So it gives you the opportunity to speak to potential prospects, ideal prospects, without getting like spooked and freaked out, right? But also, as I said, make sure that you pair up with a role play partner and run through these experiences. But the last thing that I want to leave you with is also, as much as we're kind of, looking back over our calls, working with a role play partner, this and that, don't judge yourself until you've had at least 10 meetings, okay? After 10 meetings, look back and judge yourself and judge your conversion rate, because here's the thing, at the end of the day, right? Like anything in life, it takes practice. Like anything in life, it sucks for that first little bit. And then you're like, oh, actually, I think I'm kind of picking up and I'm learning and I'm getting better. And then it gets to the point where you're like, oh, wow, I think I'm actually getting decent at this. And then, maybe you get humbled and you're like, oh, actually, I still have a little bit to learn. And then you get to a point where it feels like second nature. I mean, there will be some times, there's certain days. And I think for me, those days are days where I can think about a case like 5 weeks ago, where I got on a sales call, and after I told Danny, I was like, I think this may have been my worst sales call in 2 years. Like this was a train wreck. Like I was embarrassed. Like I was embarrassed for me. Like it was terrible. Anyways, point is, right? So it still happens to me, but that day, like I was underslept. I was going through some personal stuff. Like it was a not fun day. And of course that, as we talked about in the beginning portion of this phase, of course you're going to sort of emanate that energy onto the prospect. In fact, I don't think my energy was that bad. It was just my mind was so frenetic and scattered that day that, like, basically, long story short, it ended up being a situation where I was looking to invest in the business. I don't know, weird. Obviously, weird sales call. So point is, even it happens to me, right? Now, granted, my agency this year, we're starting to take on our first equity deals, and this actually looked like a perfect prospect for that, but like, that still wasn't really where the call was meant to go. It was a weird one. Anyways, the reason I'm saying this is 5 years on, I still have my bad days, but that's normally, I'd say maybe that's honestly probably like at this point, 5%, if that, 5%, 2% of sales calls. The rest, it just feels like second nature to me at this point. So really to become A1 at sales, be in the ring as much as possible. Obviously, that's the best experience you can have. Watch back over your calls, role play with a partner, and then really study that script and make it your own. And as I said, very, very soon, you are gonna adore sales. You're gonna love sales, and you're gonna take agency sales for really what it is, which is just speaking to some really interesting business owners, getting to know their business and figuring out, hey, is it worth it? Is it worth it for us to partner up and, for us to help you grow your business? And sometimes you get on the call and you're like, no, it's not worth it. Or, maybe we're not the right fit for each other. And it's, that's, you're not upset or you're not butthurt about it. You move on to the next one. And when you look at it like that, as I said, sales is a lot of fun. So ladies and gentlemen, action step for today is post in the group or use the accountability partner feature. As I said, depending on when you're watching this, we may have already launched that feature inside the platform, that you're looking for a role play partner with your niche and time zone. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed this module, and I will catch you guys in the next one.